Alright boys, and we're back with the second day of my program. Hail Reaper, the leg day from hell. And this is a bit of a special one because not only do we have the original Hail Reaper, but I'll also be covering the B version of this for when you're feeling fatigued or you're just dead tired from working all day and you want to still get those sweet gains. So I'll cover those side by side and the nuances in programming for when, hey, I still need to get my workout in and put in the reps, but I don't think I'm in the mood or in the condition to be putting some heavy ass weight on my back. But before we get into that, if you enjoyed the last workout walkthrough, and if you like this one, feel free to subscribe. We're trying to grow the channel out here, spreading the good word of gains. So the name of the day, Hail Reaper, comes from the book series Red Rising. I made a video on this on my other channel, The Jack Nerd, link in the description, but it is one of the most testosterone-fueled book series of all time. And the main character gets the nickname The Reaper, and I think you can guess why. He brings death, just like this leg day is going to bring some pain into your life. Now the reason that I did leg day B this week was because I was a little bit of an idiot on the weekend and pulled my groin. A couple of my friends wanted to go out to the bars, and I'm 22 now, and this was the first time I'd ever gone to the bars. And one of the bars had a bucking bronco, and being competitive as I was, I went on the bronco and tried to stay on and use my thunder thighs to grasp the raging bull, and getting off I realized, oh shit man, something kind of fucking hurts. So I tweaked my groin, pulled my groin. Luckily it's fine now, but I just want to play it carefully. And ironically, if I actually drank alcohol, I probably would have done better because I would have been more loose and not gripping with my thighs for my entire life. And I guess this could also be prevented by me being more hydrated and drinking water. So there's a twofold lesson there. Either get shit drunk before riding a bull or really have to piss because you're hydrated as hell. Anyways, on to the video. And to kick it off, we have my super simple leg warm-up, which is hopping on the exercise bike and doing 3 minutes forward, 2 minutes backwards at a casual pace. Trying to just get the blood flow into your quads. You usually get a slight quad pump to start off your first exercise. And on the original Reaper, that is barbell back squat. My goal right now is to get a 405 by 5 rep, perfect Tom Platz high bar ass to grass back squat. This is just kind of a personal little fun game I'm playing right now. And when I do feel good enough to squat heavy, I'm slowly pushing the weights up. Currently, I'm at 375 for 3 as my best set so far. I've also done 365 for 4. And 355 for 5 or 6, something like that. But 405 by 5 is on the horizon. Maybe in the next 6 months, year, depends how diligent I am. As I was saying, there are an A and a B workout to this day because fuck man, working manual labor, I'm dead ass tired sometimes. So I also have my B version where I open up with my super sissy squat machine. I always looked at this machine and said, what the hell use do I have for that besides calf raises? Because you're supposed to be doing it facing the other direction. And I'm like, that is just pure glutes, lower back, hamstrings, and pretty shit overall, especially with the angle of the board. Then I thought, what if I just turn it around? And that right there was a mind-blowing invention where I just fucking blast my quads pushing through my toes. Usually I actually put a squat wedge under me to add even more stability, but for some reason, every time it rolls around a leg day, I cannot find that goddamn thing. So I just had to do it with pure general form and staying as strict as I could. I also do this as a mechanical drop set, starting pushing through my toes, knees as far forwards, and as I continue to fail, I move my heels back and my butt back bit by bit. So I start with the most quad stimulus, and as I get more tired, instead of stopping the set, I use my other muscles to assist me, getting slightly less quad stimulus, but more work in that failure range that actually builds muscle. And then I end up pretty much good morning up on my final rep because I simply cannot do any more. This is a very different methodology compared to barbell back squats, where I'm focusing on the weight as my main driving factor of progressive overload versus range of motion, stretch, and overall lightening the load because I'm feeling more fatigued. You can see I only have 1 plate on there for these super sissy squats versus over 3 plates for my barbell back squat. Because hypertrophy can be achieved through many different means. There's no holy grail. There's no one answer on what to prioritize. You have to diversify your system to get the best results. You use different tools in different situations, and all the tools combine to get the best results. I do find it ironic when I use the Super Sissy squat machine because they've got this warning that says, "Warning, it may be dangerous to exceed 90 degrees of knee flexion on this machine. Please consult an authorized supervisor before using." And then I'm just fucking blasting it with insane range of motion while backwards going to failure. Yeah, I love just fucking using machines in the completely wrong way, but for so sweet of gains. Now, contrasting these two exercises, besides just the weight used, is also the feeling. I do think the Super Sissy squats are a more advanced exercise. You have to feel it, you have to be able to pump through your quads, you have to have the control to keep the tension on your quads, versus the barbell back squat, despite being more complex, is the ultimate mass builder for the legs, and it builds that base that allows you to use the Super Sissy squats. I would not recommend anybody, beginner, even intermediate, to really heavily specialize in the Super Sissy squats because you'll get much better gains out of the barbell back squat. You have to build that base first before you can graduate to using these nuanced niche exercises. It's one of the biggest fallacies that fitness influencers fall into is recommending the things that they're doing now and maybe making progress on now, which are novel, new, niche, and experimental, versus the fundamentals that got them to the point where they're respectable enough to be an influencer. This amnesia, this exercise amnesia, keeps their followers small. And that's why I'll recommend to you guys to fucking barbell squat like I'm doing. And now I'm not exceptionally strong or anything. Like the most I've done on squat is 405 or 3 sets of 5 with a powerlifting squat. But I am stronger than the average gym goer, so my fatigue level on these heavy compounds is much higher than you guys. But if you're squatting in that 150 to 300 range for, I don't know, let's say 8 reps, then you can handle doing that every leg day, and you don't need to have an alternative exercise to keep the fatigue down. Having access to such a high stimulus exercise like the barbell back squat every week, it is a tool that you should be using and perfecting. When contrasting these two exercises, you can take things from the Super Sissy squat and bring them over to your barbell back squat like I've done. I am looking for a higher quad stimulus. So I'm a relatively close stance. I'm driving those knees forward. I'm stopping my hips from shooting back a significant amount, and I'm really pushing through the balls of my feet to get the power through my quads and not through my back and my hamstrings and my glutes. That right there is turning this into a quad exercise with general leg building potential instead of a general leg exercise. And that's a personal choice of whether you want to push more weight or you want to build bigger quads. Right now, I'm kind of focusing on getting bigger weight through quad dominancy because I've not been quad dominant in the past. When it comes to squatting for size and bodybuilding, it's kind of a catch-22 because you can squat with your general natural motion going as deep as you want, and you'll build a lot of parts of your legs. You'll build your glutes, you'll build your quads, you'll build your hamstrings, your erectors, your abductors, all these different things. But the general leg mass is different from specializing in your quads. Just as the Super Sissy squat is a quad specialization, so is my high bar astergrass plat squat. And I don't think I necessarily recommend that for everybody. I do think that if you're in the beginner to intermediate stage, it's better to learn how to squat naturally and feel good and feel powerful in your squat and make up the ground for your quads somewhere else. This is the long game. You're running a marathon, not a sprint. So there's really no need to just hyper specialize and isolate those muscles on something like a compound movement like that. That comes later down the line. And there's also other things you miss out on. When you squat in a specialized way, or you swap it for the Super Sissy squat, you miss out on things like abductors or glutes or erectors if you're really focusing in on isolations. And when you do that, you can end up getting injured like my dumbass did because I don't really train my abductors anymore because I used to squat really abductor and glute heavy, and they're fucking ginormous now, and I honestly wish they would shrink a little bit. But they'd been untrained, and I was dehydrated, so I ended up pulling it like a dumbass. I want you to more learn how to squat and what feels good, and then play to your goals from there, because the hardest part about squatting is fucking feeling like you're squatting and not just dying under the bar. Now, when I'm doing barbell back squats, I do not superset these with anything. So it's heavy weight. I need to focus in. I need to do really well on each and every set and make sure I don't injure myself. But something like the Super Sissy squat, I might as well superset it with something. And so I bring my cable ab crunch earlier in the workout. And I really do like these because they're super easy to set up And for some reason, sit-ups, decline sit-ups just don't hit anymore. And they kind of stretch previous injuries, hernias that I have by really going in that depth position. Well, I don't feel that with the cable. I don't really feel the need to talk about these too much, but train your fucking abs is the point of this. You can see me switch ab cable stations on here because when you're jumping around doing supersets, you don't want to be the dick taking up a bunch of space. And if I wasn't there and somebody took the cable, I'm not going to be like, hey bro, I've got one more set on that. Get the fuck out of my way. No, I'll just move and find somewhere else. Being polite in the gym gives you a lot of leeway when you're doing crazy shit, and people tend to like you more. So just kind of be nice to your fellow gym goers because they're there for the same reason that you are, even if they're not as serious as you are. So something that I've been trying to perfect and experiment with over the past 2 years has been intra-workout nutrition. I have my Power Armor, and right now I have these organic Heavenly Hunk Bites. Previously I'd used Rice Krispie treats, but all that corn syrup is kind of fucking terrible for you, so I'm trying to make a swap out of those. As for the Power Armor, I'd prefer to make my own juice concoction with the right electrolytes, but your boy can either make videos that you can listen to and learn from, or make juice. And I only have so much time in the day, so the juice is gonna have to wait a couple years. But the goal of the intra-workout nutrition, of which I usually start after my first 3 sets of my initial heavy compound of whatever I'm doing, slowly sipping on my electrolyte drink throughout the workout, and eating a little bit of carbs as I go on. I really don't overeat or anything, just a little bit to get my system juiced through the end of the workout. Because any bit of percentage that you can eke up in your workout is gains in the long run. This is super nuanced details, and I think your pre-workout meal matters a lot more than your intra-workout, but also I like having snack breaks during my workout. Gives me a little bit extra rest, especially if I'm trying to go hit a heavy lift or a lock in for a set. Taking a couple minutes, getting a little bit more fuel, and getting ready to rip it can be extremely beneficial. Now on my original Reaper leg day, I then move into Romanian deadlifts and those cable ab crunches as my first superset of that day. Romanian deadlifts, I vary on how heavy I go. Sometimes I'll do 315 to 15 through 25 reps depending on how sloppy my form is, or I'll push up to 405 for 8 to 10 reps, something like that. Really dependent on how heavy I go with my squat and the rep range that I'm training in on that for the lower back fatigue. Romanian deadlifts are an absolute staple for building not only your glutes, your hamstrings, but also that V-taper in that lower back. Having big erectors makes your back flex immaculate. Not training a heavy hip hinge and getting those to be girthy as hell will impact your aesthetics overall, and something a lot of bro lifters miss out on. Now you have to be strapping in for Romanian deadlifts. I used to not, but then it was essentially just a warm-up because your forearms are infinitesimally weaker than your hamstrings and your lower back. If you're not using straps on Romanian deadlifts, you're not getting anywhere near your full potential out of them. Romanian deadlifts are an interesting exercise when it comes to progression schemes because you could treat it like a bicep curl and do 3 sets of 8 to 12, or you could treat it like a main compound movement and do a linear progression or do a pyramid like I talk about in the Demigod Protocol. It really is dependent on how you want to push it and how much effort and focus you want to put into it. Obviously, you should put in 100% effort, but there is the mental capacity of what you devote to progressing an exercise within each of your days. For example, for me, the squat is the main focus right now. Romanian deadlift is on a back seat. When I was working up to 405 for a set of 10 in the spring, it was on the front seat, squat was on the back seat, despite being the first exercise that I did. This doesn't change the effort level, but your mental focus really does matter when it comes to those progression schemes. So don't try to put everything at 100% focus, because you're going to fall off, your tracking is going to be all over the place, and you're not going to make the progress that you want. Your body simply cannot sustain that for every exercise. It can sustain to failure intensity, high intensity, all these things, but not at the same time with the razor sharp mental focus it takes to also achieve the progression schemes that you want. I know that sounds contradictory, but mental energy and physical energy don't always coincide when it comes to your workouts. As for leg day B, my alternate for this is back extensions, straight leg calf raises, and then my first forearm exercise. In this case, it's forearm flexion. The back extensions, it really is just hitting that posterior chain. You get some hamstring involvement, but the key thing here is getting the blood flowing in my hamstrings for my later hamstring curls. Because I've found when you do hamstring curls without doing some sort of hip hinge movement, you're really prone to pulling them, at least for me, because the contracting from a hamstring curl in the stretch position is very different from the lowering into a stretch position and then contracting out of it of a Romanian deadlift or a back extension. I've just found that if I don't do some sort of hip hinge first, give it 1 or 2 weeks and I will pull my hamstring doing hamstring curls first. That's me personally, but I do think it is a good grain of advice if you have issues with your hamstrings. As for the other exercises, I've completely fucking abandoned seated calf raises. I did them for years. Yes, it wasn't with the high enough volume that it needed to be and the consistency that it needed to be, but I've just seen way more results with straight leg calf raises. And as for forearms, I'm really just kind of messing around. I think I will probably swap out the barbell flexion curl for maybe a cable or something because it isn't feeling the best, but it was feeling really good for the first couple weeks that I was doing it. I don't know. It's really an experimentation at this point. Yeah, I'd like bigger forearms, but it's not something I'm gonna die on a hill for. So I'm just kind of having fun experimenting with different exercises and finding what I like. Not a lot of stress with that one. The thing about forearms is that they get generally trained enough that they work with your physique. They're aesthetic enough. But you know what's super aesthetic? Is some gigantic forearms. I saw this Lee Priest video where he just has enormous forearms. And it looks so good when he does like the overhead flexing pose. And I was like, damn man, I can definitely grow my forearms, grow my calves. And so I have pretty damn big legs. I think I've got like, 27, I haven't measured in a couple months. They're pretty fucking big thighs and I'm not really too worried about it. I do my requisite volume. I push hard. I have fun. But I really want to bring up the small nuanced points of my physique. And that's where those forearms come in. And that's where the calves come in. That's where the erectors come in. All these little things, including my abs, which I trained religiously for 4 years and then took a break for like 3.5. So we're back to it. Now, after those first 2 supersets on both leg days, we've knocked out our heavy movers and our primary hip hinge and knee flexion, aka a squat motion and a bending at the hips motion. So now we're on to our finisher type exercises. So our exercise selection for leg day A will be leg extensions, our first 3 sets of calf raises, and then our forearm flexion. For leg day B, it's our leg extensions, our second 3 sets of calf raises, and then some Tib Raises because we do have an extra volume slot because we supersetted our original squat motion instead of leaving it alone like leg day A. Now, leg extensions I've found to be your perfect counterpart for a squat because if you're going hard in your initial squatting motion, you're pretty gassed in the quads. I don't think you have room for another 3 sets of leg press, maybe if you really, really want to. But for me, I've found it's enough to just do 3 sets of squats and 3 sets of leg extensions, especially when you add a pad to add more range of motion and then you scoot the seat back all the way to get that extra stretch at the hip. Yes, I know that's a science-based thing, but hey, I am not science racist. I take things that work and apply them in my own training and leave the shit that I don't like, and as I think you should too. I really do think adding this pad to your leg extensions is a fucking game changer. The majority of the leg extensions that I've ever used stop way too soon, and your quads don't get into a really challenging stretch position, and with how stable you are, you can drive a lot of force out of that bottom one. When I'm at my college gym visiting my girlfriend before I graduated last year, I'd stack 2-3 pads on just because I could, and you're so stable. There is no like variability like going extremely deep on a dumbbell press. There's literally no change in force potential down there. I mean, I'm sure there is. Somebody can push up their glasses on their nose and go, well, actually, and correct me, but fuck it, man. I can full stack the leg extension with it like that, and I don't really give a shit. But also something I have done to get that extra volume to really finish off my quads on the days where I'm not barbell squatting is add a triple drop set to my last set of leg extensions. Now, because I don't have the gumption to squat heavy and RDL heavy, does not mean that I don't have the gumption to work my quads hard. And that's part of the advantage of not pushing my squat heavier is I do have a little bit more energy to thrash my quads that extra bit. So adding a triple drop set to the end of this is the advantage of not squatting heavy. It's not a disadvantage. I'm not, oh no, I'm losing gains or I'm not pushing my squat progress. No, I'm just finding another avenue of progression that wasn't available to me on the last thing that I was doing. And this adaptable mindset is what you should take into every workout. When you encounter a problem, instead of looking at everything that you're missing and how it makes everything worse, look for the opportunity to improve something or add something that you previously couldn't. And that really keeps things fun, interesting, and overall successful versus it feeling like you're getting setback after setback. It isn't every week that I feel great and ready to go squatting heavy, so I have to find other ways to make sure I'm still moving forward, both mentally with my attitude and learning, and then physically with my progression. Now, as for Tib Raises, I do think that the tibialis is a pretty inconsequential muscle, but it is kind of a restful experience to just train your calves, lean against the wall while you rest for your other sets. So I really don't think it's a bad thing to train in the slightest. And also, it is kind of aesthetic when you have jacked tibialises. The wall raises are the simplest thing you can do. I've hooked up to a cable, I've hooked up to plates, whatever it is. Those are much more effective, but I've kind of gotten lazy over the years, especially with the addition of other stuff to my leg days, like a lot of abs and the forearms and then squatting really heavy. Fuck, man. Sometimes I really don't give a shit about Tib Raises. Now, the final super duper set of leg day A would be hamstring curls, calf raises for your second 3 sets, leg raises, and then your forearm extension. And then for leg day B, it is hamstring curls, leg raises, and then forearm extension. The hamstring curl methodology is very similar to that of the leg extensions. It is the finishing exercise for that muscle group. And I also did a triple drop set on here on my leg day B because back extensions really aren't that much work for your hamstrings compared to a Romanian deadlift. The other thing that you can do on leg extensions and hamstring curls is blast partial reps into oblivion. These are so safe as long as you control the eccentric, you don't bang out of the bottom, and you're properly warmed up, and you can milk gains for days, especially with leg exercises, the heavy ones, being a little bit dangerous to push beyond failure. You have to be completely locked in, you have to be completely braced and aware. Having an exercise that you can just mass blast to oblivion is really nice. It's like tricep extensions. You're never gonna get fucking hurt doing a tricep extension. So really take advantage of the ability to go beyond failure on these if that is in your training. So I pretty much despise leg raises now, and I fucking hate them, especially when you get a little tweaky with the injuries, but they are a great lower ab exercise, and keeping your abs looking good throughout your bulk is essential for your mental health. I had to do them on a bench because the decline bench was taken, and like I talked about before, make room for the people around your gym besides your enormously wide and jacked self. I know you're big, I know you take up a lot of space, but there's plenty of benches to go around. But it is kind of ironic of once you start training to failure and past failure, you can't stop. Doesn't matter which exercise you're on, fucking leg extensions you're doing partial reps on, because you just kind of feel like you half-assed it if you stop at full range of motion reps. It's kind of like a Pandora's box of training. Once you open it, you can never go back. For my forearm extension exercise, I used something new this week. Instead of using a bar just to do extensions on a bench, I took out the wrist roller. Did a little mental challenge because these are painful. And also because I didn't have a great connection on my flexion exercise, this got me a little bit more flexion on that day. It's honestly crazy how you can think you're done. You can think that your forearms are burning so badly and you literally couldn't do a single more pull, but you can kind of just keep on rolling on this exercise. A good mental challenge, especially at the end of your workout. One of the greatest advantages of having a hard ass leg day that you hit every week, ass pun not intended, is that it makes every other workout easier. Not easier in that the exercises are easier, but it's thank God it's not leg day. And that allows you to push harder on those days, and then you dread leg day, you do it. And then when you get to the days that you don't really want to, you don't really want to hit your arm day, then you're like, at least it's not fucking leg day. And you go in there and you rip it and you're good to go. Leg day keeps your performance accountable because there is no easy leg exercise. Every goddamn exercise is painful, it hurts, it sucks, but when you get it done, it fucking feels good. And when you go do bicep curls, it feels like a walk in the park no matter how hard it is compared to a heavy ass set of squats. Now something you'll notice with the program is that I go from either no superset with the squats or a small superset with the RDLs and the ab crunches to fucking quadruple set for the last 2 supersets of the workout. And that is because you got to look at the fatigue of the exercises. A set of squats, a set of RDLs, way higher fatigue. A set of forearms or abs or calves, that ain't shit. Even leg extensions or hamstring curls, if it's not a triple drop set, you can walk out of there fine. You're not going to be stumbling nearly as badly. So why not stack the easy points together? And it also adds to your work capacity. These exercises are not going to affect the performance of the others around them, so you might as well train another function, and if you don't hit your cardio that week, hey, at least I did 2 quadruple sets. That's a cope that you can have when you're sitting on your ass, not doing your cardio. Like, I haven't been doing my cardio because I'm so tired after work, but you know what? Fuck it. I'm skipping my cardio, and that's okay right now because we're struggling to gain weight, but we're getting it done. All right, boys. Well, that is Hail Reaper. Hope you guys enjoyed, or you're screaming and crying in pain right now because you actually push your legs to utmost failure, and 2 days from now is going to be really painful. But if you did enjoy, be cool if you subscribed. I'm having fun making these, and I'm really working on a super special video. I've scripted it. It's about 3,500 words, coming out soon-ish. Not sure what I'm going to do with the edits. Not sure how fancy I'm going to get. I got a cool thumbnail in mind. Anyways, your boy's getting philosophical. If you're looking forward to it, subscribe. Anyways, I'm out. Peace.